Hi everybody, this is Glenda from Cynically Glenda. I want to see if I can shed some more light on why a lot of women are choosing the bear over the man when it comes to safety. And it always does come back to safety. Just recently I was watching one of those AI created short video things where there's a narration, there is a story about basically a boy meets girl, etc., etc. Only this was about a dragon king and a virgin. And anatomically and physically, as far as the woman is concerned, when she's a virgin, they obviously have no clue, whoever created it. And I'm betting it was a man that created it. You can look at the dragon king and he takes your breath away. He is the most beautiful man that could ever have been created. But we have to remember that this particular specimen of a man is an AI creation. It's not a real man. No man could ever look like that. But even in everything he does, first of all, he buys her for her virginity to save his own life. But the part of it was that he had to make her fall in love with him first to save his life. He had a death curse. And as the story goes on, he falls in love with her. She falls in love with him. But when it only takes I can't think of the word. This story only takes place over about a month. There is no way on God's earth that you could emotionally fall in love with someone in that period of time. But from the moment he buys her, he's incredibly predatory. And he kind of pushes himself on her on a regular basis. She can't say no because of his physical presence, he just takes over. But even the lovemaking at the end is still quite predatory, quite physical, quite animalistic. You look at this character and you cannot see the emotional change in him. He seems to be the same character all the way through, whereas with her you can see the emotional change, whether that's because she's female or like I said, this has probably been created, this whole video has been created by a male, at a guess, because he doesn't understand, or whoever created it doesn't understand the anatomical part of a woman being a virgin. We women know what it is, but a lot of men don't. And quite often that anatomical difference can be changed just by the use of sanitary protection, etc., etc. Anyway, I'll get back to this whole feeling safer with the bear thing. We women look for a relationship where we are attracted to the person we're getting involved with. Sexual intimacy is pleasurable. And this is coming from a 64-year-old, and I've had my fair share. I've had 3 husbands, so there has to be emotional intimacy, trust, respect, and that's mutual trust and respect. And above all, particularly in today's society, a woman needs to feel safe with her husband or partner. But that's not always the case. I have come from a childhood where there was no emotional intimacy between mother and child. And emotional intimacy has nothing to do with sex. It is an emotional bond or connection. I was taught that love was about sex and what you can give to the other person because I was sexually abused. It was the only way I could get the affection and the attention and the love that I needed as a child. And so that carried me through my entire adulthood. And I can look back on every single relationship I've had, and I've never had that emotional intimacy. And I've never really felt safe with any of them, including the husband I have now. He comes close. He does his best, but having his own trauma issues from his childhood makes it incredibly hard for him to be able to provide that for me. And I realise now that I've spent my entire life looking for that safety and that emotional intimacy outside of myself and not from within. I haven't realised it, but I have created that sense of safety within myself. And if that meant shutting off my emotions or distancing myself, that's exactly what I did. Now, many women today live under a situation in whatever country they happen to be in, and I'm going to use America as an example. They can no longer access reproductive medical care. They're basically just meant to be baby factories. And they are being bombarded with social media about being a trad wife, about feminism being bad. They're encouraged to join churches, get married young, and a lot of these are very strong patriarchal systems. Women in America particularly do not feel safe having a miscarriage because once the law was brought in that abortions were illegal and that doctors could be found liable if, say, for instance, a woman was miscarrying and they gave the woman medical care and it was found to be that it was an abortion, who could possibly can find that when a woman is actually miscarrying is beyond me. Women no longer feel safe. And we are being brought up in an environment, we are having to live in an environment where even our government and our country leaders don't give a flying fuck. And this has set us back, particularly in America, decades. And we are encouraged to get married young. And often it's in the case of marrying someone significantly older than us, especially if it's to do with our Christianity. We stay at home. These are the trad wives. We stay at home, or traditional wife. Our husband earns the money. He controls everything. We take care of the kids. We raise the kids. We look after the home. We're there for our husbands to take care of our husbands, etc., etc. And then the number of times, and it's all coming out, the number of times that women, as they've gotten older, have been pushed aside for someone younger and ended up with nothing because their husband controls everything. And even in a state where divorce laws say that you're entitled to 50% or whatever, somehow men are getting away with it. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. People are choosing. Women are choosing to stay single, not have children, and take care of themselves because they do not feel safe in this world. They do not feel safe marrying a man. And when social media is geared towards pushing the woman back to the 1940s, 1950s, where they had no rights, and encouraging men to be controlling and abusive and emotionally negligent, and it encourages men to cheat on their wives. And when you have a president that has cheated on all of his wives, has paid prostitutes, has sexually abused at least women, and they have done everything to systematically destroy a system that provided women with basic health care. And they're slowly but surely trying to take the rights away from women. And I honestly believe that if we're not careful, here in Australia and in other countries like a large part of Europe and England, etc., we are all heading down the same road. I have never, ever in my lifetime, apart from with my father, ever felt 110% safe. Never. My father took care of me. My father, he did make me feel safe. It was my mother that created the chaos and the uncertainty and the unreliability in my life. Once my mother was gone, she died when I was 18, my father was able to be there in a way that he hadn't been before. And he created an emotional bond with me that he had started when I was a child, and I was able to reconnect with that. And he was the only one who ever made me feel special, who made me feel safe and protected. That was my father. And I have not been able to find a man since that comes even close to what he did. And we developed a daughter-father relationship in my adult years, not when it should have happened. Above all else, a woman needs to feel safe in her relationships. If she doesn't feel that way, she's not going to emotionally connect with anybody. And if every time they go out and date someone and she can't feel safe with him, she's not going to continue dating. And that's why so many people choose the bear over the man, because they can predict what the bear does. They can predict that if they act in a certain way, the bear will leave them alone. They don't have to worry about what they're wearing or how they look or how they act or how they talk or whatever around the bear. The bear is just predatory. If it sees the woman as a meal, it will attack the woman. Otherwise, it will leave her alone. And that's why. If a man continually beats a woman because he's in a bad mood, she's not going to feel safe. If he belittles her, puts her down, only focuses on her physical beauty and her physical appearance and makes her feel like just because she's had 6 of his kids, her body ain't what it used to be. Hello? And I want to preface everything I've said, and if the men reach as far as they do into this video, this is not representative of all men. These are the kinds of men I have come across, but I have also met some pretty decent human beings that just happen to be males. And we all make mistakes. There is no perfect man on this planet. It was like I referenced the Dragon King. He was the perfect physical specimen of a man. And I mean, he literally takes your breath away. But again, he's an imaginary character in a romance vlog. But from what I can understand, this romance vlog is taken from the male perspective. And a lot of these vlogs, these videos, these romance videos, we used to have romance novels. 9 times out of 10, this being with this man would almost always put you in a dangerous situation. And this particular scenario, she was nearly raped 3 times. And once even by his own brother. So this is why, and when we are fed this kind of, women are fed this kind of romantic scenario where it is really intense and it gets our blood boiling, and it does. Of course, we're going to be attracted to the men that create that same feeling. And that is not love. And that is not what a real, safe, genuinely intimate relationship is about. It's not about being protected from dangerous people. It's not about being put in dangerous situations because of the person that you're with. It's not about all of that, and it's not about beautiful clothes or any of that. A nice big house. It's about how a man makes a woman feel. And if she feels safe, loved, trusted, respected, and like she is an equal, regardless of whether she stays home and looks after the kids or she goes after a career. And nowadays, with the cost of living, that's virtually impossible unless the man can earn at least a 6-figure income. So that's my take on the bear or the man. I could be wrong, but this is my perspective. I'll catch you later. Bye.